Hey everybody, welcome to episode 8 of What Not to Miss with Chris. As you know by now, my goal each week is to put out quick, relevant content that explains the why behind the what in order to positively impact the freight community. Last episode, I talked about some similarities and differences between 2018 and the current market and how those differences and similarities were affecting new trailer and new truck orders. On this week's episode, I wanted to take some time and look at a couple of refrigerated charts here and explain not only what's going on in the reefer market, but more importantly, why these changes are happening right now. So the first chart I want to take a look at here is the reefer outbound tender rejection index compared to the reefer outbound tender volume index over the last several months. As you can see, both volumes and rejections go hand in hand, and brings us all the way to where we are today at a very, very high level, both rejections and volumes. So let's talk about this a little bit more in depth. Here is a seasonal view just of the outbound tender volume index over the last 3 years. As you can see right here, we're basically at an all-time high right now as far as volumes are concerned, and how that compares to the last 2 years is much, much higher than we were over the last 2 years. But as you can see, there's typically an increase in volume all the way until the day before Thanksgiving. So even though we're at this very high level, looking forward, we can expect this number to continue to rise. And I think that you're going to see this number rise even higher on a percentage level, even more than it would compared to the previous years, because you're not having as many large gatherings as you typically would for Thanksgiving. You're having a lot more small gatherings, but on those small gatherings, you're still having a lot of food and a lot of refrigerated items being purchased. So moving forth here to the outbound tender rejection index, this is a similar view like the volume index seasonally, but it is for rejections. So as you can see here, similarly, there's typically an increase all the way until right about Thanksgiving, and then there's a little bit of a drop until people start buying for Christmas dinners or New Year's Eve gatherings. And I think that you're going to see some of the same increase up until Thanksgiving, and then that dip, and then another increase, before Christmas and New Year's as far as rejections is concerned, because you're going to have some of the same variables being affected as far as, there's going to be a lot more small gatherings, but there's still going to be people that are purchasing cold items or frozen items, but it's going to be on a much larger scale because they're not buying for a big group of people, they're buying for a smaller group of people, but they're buying in more quantities. So I would anticipate and forecast that both rejections and volumes will continue to rise before Thanksgiving, fall off a little bit, and then increase. But I think that the percentage of increase is going to be higher both before Thanksgiving and after, due to the COVID environment and the fact that there's smaller groups meeting as opposed to the large groups. With that being said, those are the 3 charts that I wanted to take a look at. Happy to have a more in-depth conversation about this topic or any other. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And until next time, this has been another episode of What Not to Miss with Chris. Thanks for tuning in.